Good morning, mine fans. I'm finally back from my European jaunt, such as it was, and back out here in the desert again. And summer seems to be breaking, at least for a little bit. It's actually below 80 degrees at sunrise for the first time probably since April, and it's a beautiful day out here in the desert. So I think we're going to switch it up this morning, and we're going to talk about something other than mines and travel. We're going to talk about guns. And today we got a good one here. Anybody who's been out here knows I don't have a whole lot of room to store a big gun collection out here, and honestly I don't want one out here. It's not my thing anymore. Yeah, sure, I keep a couple around for things that go bump in the night, but most of them stay in safe storage off-site here. And every once in a while I stop by that safe storage and pick one up for nostalgia and a little recreational shooting. And today we're going to be taking a look at this beauty right here. Those of you may recognize it. It is a British number 4 Mark I Enfield rifle. Now these were the last line of the venerable SMLEs that the British have been using for a while, the short magazine Lee Enfields. 10-shot bolt action, made during World War II. And what makes this one particularly interesting is that it was actually made here in America, and it's marked United States property on the other side. We're going to take a look at that in a second. But as the British got going into World War II, they needed lots of small arms. They needed them fast. So they had contracted with the Stevens Firearms Company in Massachusetts here in America to make them some of their Enfield rifles, since they couldn't produce enough in England at the time. And Stevens started making these rifles at the Savage factory in Tecopa, Massachusetts. And when the U.S. got involved in the war, or shortly before actually, before we officially got involved, we took over the contracts and started making them for the British to spare up their industry and their money for other things. Well, we had a problem at the time. We had a little law called the Neutrality Act, which kept us from making or providing weapons to belligerents on either side of a conflict. So to get around that, we took all these weapons and other things that we were handing out to our allies and marked them all as United States property. And under that fiction that these were really American guns, we were just going to loan them to the British for the duration of the conflict, hence Lend-Lease. And we provided all sorts of goods to the Brits and a lot of other people, including the Russians, the French, and all the other combatants on the Allied side. I said, we will loan you this stuff and you can pay for it or return it after the war. Well, of course, we never got any of it back. And we didn't want these back because they were chambered in .303 British, a cartridge that our military would never use or shoot. So most of these were just disposed of at the end of the war or kept on in British service, transferred to other countries, but they were never returned to the United States, except in cases like this where they came back as surplus sales long after the war or veteran bringbacks. This one's in particularly nice shape. I'm really fond of it. And we're going to have a little fun with it today, and it's accompanying bayonet over here, or pig sticker as they'd call it back in the day. So let's take a look at this Enfield, shall we? These are kind of noticeable for the front sight with a big thick ears here to protect it. Almost soldier-proof, that is. Got a roughly adjustable sight in the front. Some bayonet lugs here on the barrel. Coming back here, we've got barrel bend or sling swivel. The Savages had these nice upper handguards that were actually notched like this. You only see those on the Savage rifles. They had the expedient wartime L flip sights for various distances. Just flip back. A 10-round magazine, which they are detachable, but it's not like the magazines today where you carry a bunch of them on your person. They only came out really for cleaning. You'd feed 10 rounds through the top of the rifle using this guide here, which would take clips full of ammunition, 5-round stripper clips. You'd open the bolt, push them down in there. Let's see if I can do this without knocking the rifle over here. Open the bolt, put your stripper clip in the guide, push the rounds down to the magazine, and you are charged and ready to go. The bolt is a cock on closing design, which doing this one-handed holding a camera is kind of a pain, but in actual service it's a very fast bolt, so we'll demonstrate that when we're actually shooting the rifle. Nice wood stocks and everything else you want in a rifle. Good sights, good balance, reasonable trigger pull for a military rifle. Nothing to really hate on this gun. And in fact, it was a 10-shot rifle in the world of a 5-shot battle rifles. Kind of set it apart, so. It's a nice piece of history, both British and American. I'm quite fond of it. I haven't seen it, honestly, in a long time until I pulled it out. Let's take a look at that marking on the other side there again. We also have the S on here, which shows that it was made by Savage-Stevens. The U.S. Ordnance Bomb Military Acceptance Proof Stamp that a U.S. armorer looked this gun over and said, yep, good for us. And she is a number 4 Mark I Star rifle. So, all set for British service. Off she goes. And this one actually does have a little England stamp on here, which shows that sometime the British sold this rifle out of service and kicked it off into the stream of commerce. So somewhere in the barrel here under some of this parkerizing paint, yeah, right there at the top, she's got the proof marking where the British armories proof tested this government, or this barrel, to make sure that this rifle was safe for sale. And she is proof tested to 18.5 tons of pressure. And that was done on any rifle or firearm that was ever in British service or in Britain that was sold for public use, export, etc. So you can see a little bit of the gun's history right here. Made in the U.S., sent to Britain for use fighting the Axis powers, and after the war at some time, sold off by the British government. And now, after a lot of bouncing around in between, she's out here at Tecopa mines, ready to fend off whatever Axis powers try to come up that driveway over there, including our nemesis out there. Where's he at? Frank the Tank. I haven't seen Frank in a while, but that's our old buddy out there, Frank the Tank. Our number 1 favorite trespasser intruder that we test fire all the rifles on at approximately 200 meters out. And let's take a look at this rifle and see what we can do with it. Give old Frank a wake-up call here. It's a beautiful morning. And yeah, again, I gotta admit, London and Prague were nice, but man, I miss this place. How can you not? This is home. This is Tecopa mines. But back to the rifle, back to the shooty. All right, so we are going to do some target practice with us today. I've got my good friend Dan Riggs here helping out with filming and co-shooting. And I know it's windy out here today. The wind picked up while we were waiting to get this together. There is a windsock microphone on the phone, so please don't bomb me with a bunch of criticisms about the wind noise. I'm doing the best I can. I actually have a windsock on the microphone, finally. A few of these beautiful 303 rounds into the Enfield. And I made these myself using Hornady 312 bullets. So they're pretty good. These slightly oversized bores in these old wartime Enfields. Safety glasses and ear protection, folks. And we give Frank the Tank good news. 200-yard hit.
Very satisfying bunk.
Stand Aiming offhand, not bad with this 80-plus-year-old rifle.
Not too bad for somebody shooting left-handed.
Bite me, man. Us lefties are the way to go. It does hurt me in high-power bolt action competitions, I will admit.
Nope, that's not going to work.
Criticizing me.
No, the sun was in the wrong angle. Better now.
Not exactly a light rifle, weighing in around 8 pounds or so. And this wind is definitely adding a little, test to the game, but I'll take her over an AR-15 any day. This is a real rifle for real men. Oh, cue the incoming criticisms now. I can see it coming. But I'm going to put her on safe here, set her down, and hand it over to Dan, let Dan have a few cracks with it. And for those of you who follow us out here at the mines, this is the great Dan Riggs, caretaker, dog wrangler, mine mechanic par excellence, and all-around good friend and good person to know. So Dan's going to take a few shots of the Enfield here, and we'll see what he does. If I don't fall off the side of the hill. Okay. Now Dan is using the European firing from chair technique. And we'll see what he does as a right-handed shooter here.
That wind's really blowing.
No excuses till after you miss, sir. Nice hit! 200 yards first time on. I know there's a reason I recruited him to work out of the mines.
First shot for a rifle in probably 10 years. Too much to the right, I do it. What's that dark colored box like that with 2 antennas on it I just put a bullet through?
Thanks for that. Be shooting at my security cams now.
Batteries, fix that one.
Don't shoot my security cams. Yep, heard that one.
The action's pretty stiff on these things.
Yeah, she's been sitting in storage for a long time. You went just past her to the berm.
I know I'm wobbling
Nice.
all over everything. I can see it on the front sight. That's kind of fun to shoot.
Yeah, she is.
That's it.
All right, well, what do you think?
Well, I should have quit after the first hit. Got to know when to hold and when to fold them. Apparently, I don't know.
Now, what's your thought on the Enfield in particular? What do you think about the Enfield?
I think the thing is a lot lighter than, or seems to be a lot lighter than the FOW. I used to own one of those, but it's a lot more comfortable to shoot too.
Yeah, Well,
Yeah, sweet rifle. I can see why the Brits used it for so many years.
it was a great design.
Yep.
In fact, they used to say the Germans made the best hunting rifles, the Americans made the best sporting rifles, and the Brits made the best fighting rifles. And the SMLE line definitely holds true to that, in my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. All right, well, thanks for coming out, folks. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful day out here at the mines. And hope you're having a great time doing whatever it is you're doing, because we're sure having a great time out here every day. God is good.